competing for competitions. At the end of the day, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And going back to the question I asked you, I honestly think it's a bit of everything. I do think the drop off is too far when we've been missing key players. I do think a lot of the time, more so actually when we've had the defeats versus the draws, I think we've run out of steam because we've played a lot of games and we don't have everybody fit, which goes back to what you said. And then I also feel, and I would love to know your thoughts, I don't feel we're playing to the same defensive standard. Now, I only say that to say this is because, yeah, and I'm going to ask you about Saliba. And I know every goal could be avoidable, but I just feel since the start of the season, we've conceded too many brain farty kind of goals. We've conceded too many goals where, you know, when you watch a goal again, bro, and you could see maybe Saka could have followed his run. This Rice could have covered. This centre-back could have done this. I'm seeing too many of those kind of things. And I don't know why we're not able to see out leads a lot of the time, if I'm completely honest. But I do think there needs to be a bit more game management. Do you think we've dropped off a level defensively, even when everyone's fit? And when I say that, I mean like the whole team, the pressing, the game management, the defense, everything.
So I agree with you. Defensively, we look to have got bad, but I will say this: I think not bad. I think we've still got a good record defensively. We're still quite good individually defensively. I actually think Kiwior and Saliba's partnership has not been nowhere near as bad. I think we're still yet to lose in something like 10 or 11 games. Kiwior deserves his plaudits. Thought he was one of our best players against Palace along with Thomas Partey. I will say this about Saliba. I don't really know how many games we expect him to play. I'll say this. I don't know how many games Saliba is supposed to play before he needs a rest and before we start to appreciate that actually he is playing way too many games. And I love him. He's one of my favourite players. I think he's a phenomenal defender. I do think as much as the Saliba-Kiwior partnership's been good, we have drew a few games. Games I think we would have won with Gabriel and Saliba together. And I'm not saying that's Kiwior's fault. I actually think Saliba's been worse than Kiwior in the last few games. And I wonder if he's been playing too much. I think Gabriel and Saliba also complement each other. I've seen Gabriel partner Ben White and it doesn't look the same. And I've now seen Saliba partnering Kiwior. As much as it's great, it still doesn't look the same. So Gabriel and Saliba definitely deserve a hell of a lot of praise this season. When they played together, it's been brilliant. I think it's the best partnership in Europe. Whether you think it's the best defence in Europe is a different question. But I think as terms of a partnership, I think it's brilliant. Are they the best two defenders in the world? Maybe they're not, but I think they're up there. So I think that's definitely come into it. I also think with Saliba that he's got so much credit in the bank that if this was Kiwior, we'd be going absolutely mad.
We'd be going mad. Let's keep it 100. We would be going mad.
Staffy or Holding or Chambers, we'd all be going.
That's why he shouldn't be playing the yada. The level is too far. We would. So we have to give him praise. Same way.
You know, this should be putting him in there. But we've got to praise him up. So Kiwior deserves praise. Saliba's been unbelievable. The credit's in the bank. But there's definite question marks over how much game time he's playing. And I would look now to be looking at cover for Saka, Odegaard, Saliba, and Timber. And hopefully White is that kind of cover for Timber because obviously he's had injury problems. So really Saliba, Odegaard, and Rice and Saka are the ones that I'm looking at thinking, right, what cover have we got for Rice? Is it good enough? Is Marino good enough, or is he actually better as a false nine? Odegaard, who's there? Is Waneri that guy, or is Saka, or is he covering for Saka? And likewise, Saka, if Waneri's not covering for him, who is? They're the sort of positions I'm looking at. You know, if we can look at the likes of Howson for Saliba, and we look at an attacking midfielder coming in for Odegaard, back up for Saka, looking at a box-to-box midfielder, great stuff. If we're not doing that, then what are we doing? Because these guys can't play this amount of football. It's crazy. It's crazy amount of games.
They're being run into the ground. And I would say of the 3 seasons, Saliba has been properly integrated into the team. Last year, he was superb. The season before, obviously, was superb. And we know how our season was derailed by one injury. I look at this season with Saliba kind of a twofold, bro, in that I feel on one hand, I actually think he's been good. I know I know people think no players make mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes. Van Dijk makes mistakes all the time. It takes nothing away from him. And like you said, when Saliba's got the credit in the bank, the potential, the reputation, everybody's going to see the previous 2 years and then look at this one as a bit of a downer, in which I can't disagree. I don't think he's as good as the 2 previous years, but I still think his level is cool. But that being said, though, as much as it says here, Saliba has committed more errors leading to goals in his last 3 appearances for Arsenal, 2 than in the previous 126. Obviously, it's come at the wrong time. It tells us not to exaggerate, but it's come at the wrong time. Now, blushes were spared against Real Madrid. Crystal Palace, it is what it is. Those kind of things can happen. But like, what do you put it down to? Do you think it's just on brand with his poor season? Do you think it's going back to what you were saying about he needs rest? Is he just in a poor moment? Or is it a case of, as great as he is, Gabriel Magalhaes kind of holds his hand and keeps him focused in certain aspects?
So I think he's better next to Gabriel, but I don't look at Saliba and think, wow, you need Gabriel. I actually look the other way around. I think Gabriel, alongside others, has not been anywhere near as good. So I think Saliba's definitely the better player. I think Gabriel has been the better defender for us in the last 18 months. I think Saliba just looks an unbelievable Rolls Royce of a defender. Obviously, Gabriel's got 27 and Saliba's 24. So I look at what he's done and I think, wow, just incredible. Absolutely incredible. I just think he's had a couple of bad games. I'm not going to worry about it. I ain't going to get on his back. I don't know what I put it down to. Maybe just poor form. Maybe he's played too much. Maybe he needs a rest. However, he ain't going to get a rest because we haven't got any cover whatsoever. The only way we can do that is in the Premier League game is to play White and Timber. That's the only thing we can do and give him a rest. So maybe we do that in one of the Premier League games now that we know that the league's done and dusted, because Liverpool are going to win that the minute they beat Tottenham, because they ain't going to.
At least they do it against Spurs, bro.
That's true. I mean, Tottenham don't do anyone any favours, and to be fair, it's not even a favour, because even if they beat them, they've got to lose every other game. So look, I don't feel like Saliba is going to be a problem, man. I think he's going to be fine. I just think that there's been a couple of games where he's made a couple of mistakes, and hopefully he looks at that and goes, right, why am I dilly-dallying on the ball? Let's calm. Let's get rid of it. What am I doing? If there's a player on me, I'll pass it back to Raya. Because that's all he's got to do in both those scenarios is go, yeah, no thanks, David. Fucking hit it up there. Don't give it to me. I've got players on me. That's all he's got to do.
Pass too many, yeah.
He's giving me the ball. I've got to try and turn it around, people. I can't pass it back to my keeper. You can, man. Just pass it back. It's like a stupid ball. And I must say this. I think sometimes Raya gives him absolute suicide balls. I mean, that one against Real Madrid.
They do half trust each other in it, partying Raya as well.
They really trust each other. Really do, man.
I think you're bang on the money. Let me be devil's advocate, yeah. Like, do you think Saliba's head's turned? Like, do you think it's a case of maybe he's believing his own hype? He knows he's getting a big deal back by Arsenal. He knows Real Madrid are looking at him. He knows that he's in a good moment. Like, do you think there's an air of complacency, kind of on brand indirectly with, in my opinion, how we approached the Crystal Palace game, in that we know one eye is on Tuesday, in which I don't know how far that goes, because Crystal Palace got a semi-final on the weekend, and I don't think their fans would question that in that game.
I think if it is complacency, it's because his eyes are on PSG, not Real Madrid. I don't think his eyes are on a summer move. From what we hear and understand, he's happy to stay at Arsenal and start a new deal. I hope he does. I do believe he will be a Real Madrid player. I don't think it'll be this summer. I think he'll stay with Arsenal, and maybe next summer or the summer after we'll worry about that. I think he's going to have 2 more seasons at Arsenal. I think he will sign a new deal, and then I think we'll get a hell of a lot of money for him when he's about 27, 28. And he'll go and play for Real Madrid for the next few years, and he'll be sensational over there. That's why I hope he doesn't do what Fabregas did. And that's, I need to leave to go and win trophies. I can win them here. You know, Fabregas wanted to stay at Arsenal and win trophies, but he realised it wasn't going to happen. And
didn't he sign an 8-year deal once or something like that?
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, Fabregas
I might be making it up. I'm sure
he was going to be here forever, and he was happy here, and but it doesn't always happen like that. And this is why when I say about Saka and Odegaard and Saliba and Rice and Martinelli and Gabriel, don't believe they're now here forever. They will go if we do not win trophies. And that's why if Saliba does go to Real Madrid when he's 27, I want him to have said, you know what, like Trent can say, I've won everything at this club.
I won some stuff, yeah.
I can now leave and I can have great memories there. So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at.
I want to keep up the theme with defenders here. Obviously, Kiwior is someone that has been subject to speculation. As good as he's been, you know, it's kind of on brand with when Kiwior's got a run in the team. Like, there's injuries, you get your little run. 2 superb performances against Real Madrid, as you said earlier, doing his thing against Crystal Palace. Do you think that has, well, first thing, has that changed your thinking with maybe letting Kiwior go? Or 2, do you think there might be more offers? Because he is someone that's always linked with moves away. Maybe he's put a couple more zeros on his price tag. Like, where are you at with Kiwior now?
So I think the club would happily keep him as left centre-back cover for Gabriel. I think the fans would appreciate that he's good cover for Gabriel now. However, I don't think he wants to stay. And I'll tell you why I don't think he does, because he can see that he's not guaranteed first-team football. He actually probably would play a lot of football if we was to go into the latter stages of all 4 competitions. But once we don't do that, he knows his playing numbers and minutes are down. So as much as I would happily keep him at left-sided centre-back cover and bring in somebody for Saliba's cover, as in one defender, I don't think he will stay because I think he'll want to go. The thing is, we could actually probably now get 25, 30 million for Kiwior, whereas
And
before
then
I think we were
reinvest.
looking at maybe 15, 20. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, bro. That's where I'm at.
I can't disagree. I mean, if Kiwior wants to stay, I'm cool with it. If he thinks that, you know what, maybe I've showed the gaffer I might not be Gabriel Magalhaes, but I can get more first team football. Or maybe he said, you know what, I do want to move on. I'll be watching that situation closely, and I'm sure, no doubt, across our two channels as time goes on, there'll be a lot of transfer talk that we're going to have to cover. As you know yourself, there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, we need to bring in players anyways and sell players anyways, but what we're able to do, what players are able to come in, we don't know. You can make a case of several people leaving in. I don't know where you at with Trossard, because I think Trossard and Kiwior are in the same book. I don't necessarily. I know Trossard's contract is running out, and obviously he's got 4 in 4 now. But I look at them two. I don't think the club would force them two out. I don't think their priority sales. I just think if they looked at it, or Berta looks at it and says, who are we going to get decent offers for? Assuming Kiwior, the interest in Italy is still going on and he's putting more zeros, he's going to get offers. Trossard's got a year left. We rejected Saudi. If they come back, I just think them two could go. Like, where are you at with Trossard? Because he's actually in a sweet bit of form, which we need him to continue. He's definitely on Tuesday.
I've never had a problem with Trossard. I like him as a squad player. I think he's a great player to come off the bench. I think when he does start in the false nine, he does well. When he does start on the left, he scores goals. I'm a fan. I think he's been a great signing. I think he's a steal for 27 million. My problem with him is he's rejected a stay at Arsenal. And when you give him a contract and he says no, you've got to let him go when he's got 1 year left, because otherwise he's going to go for nothing. So if the rumours are true about Saudi Arabia and they are actually interested in signing him, if we can get anywhere upwards of 35 million, I'm taking it. And I'm putting that money towards somebody on the left-hand side to compete and maybe upgrade on Martinelli. Now, Martinelli's been great of late, and I think when Trossard has started ahead of him, I've always question marked it, because I'm like, well, Martinelli's form's actually been good. What we doing? Finally, he's scoring. We need to be playing him.
We waited a long time for that.
Very long time, unfortunately. Trossard, for me, is a very good squad player. If he doesn't want to be a squad player and he wants to go and start, then what we might have to do is say, look, this is not going to happen for you, and we're going to sell you so you can go and get first-team football. He's in his 30s. He's going to look at that Saudi move as being potentially one of his last moves and an unbelievable chance to earn a hell of a lot of money.
Some serious wonga, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that he goes, if I'm honest with you. And I wouldn't cry if he went. I wouldn't cry if he stayed. He's a player that I like as a squad player. If he wants to be more than that, he has to go and seek first-team football elsewhere, because I don't think that's what Arsenal need right now. However, when he does come on and he's coming into the goals and he's scoring against Ipswich and he's scoring against Palace, he's doing his job. And that's, all you can ask for Trossard. I don't think he's been a bad signing at all. I think if you're looking at January signings like Reyes and Arshavin and Aubameyang, I think he's right up there with that. I think what you look at in terms of the goals that he scored at important moments, he scored Champions League goals against Porto and against Bayern Munich at great times. He's
good value for
coming
money
consistently, he's been good. So I think he's been a good signing. I don't mind if he goes, but I think he probably has to, if I'm honest, if we want to move forward, and he doesn't want to stay, doesn't want to sign, we're going to have to get money for him, bro.
It's as simple as that, man. And I mean, Berta or Arteta, they're going to have to be very flexible in what they do, because my first challenge is adding quality. So quality for me would be everywhere, but evidently, and we'll get onto it, but a number 9, a left winger, a central midfielder. I think defense is a peculiar situation, because whether it's Kiwior, Zinchenko, long-term Tomiyasu, there's a lot of kind of rejigging there, and you can make a case of a right-sided centre-half that can play right back, a left-sided centre-half that can play left back, a Timber Tomiyasu kind of guy that can play in all those roles. I don't know how much Mikel Merino and Kai Havertz affects what we do in attacking roles, because they can both play up there as well as midfield, and we'll get on to Partey. But before we carry on with that, I have to ask you about Martin Odegaard. I watched your video. He's quite passionate, man. Like, where you at with Martin? He did get an assist, but I'd hardly say he's playing amazing. And, some fans have been a lot more harsher on him than us. And where we've got the only game with PSG to win the champs, our captain's not really playing amazing. Like, where you at with him? Do you think he's also crossing into that border of being scapegoated at times?
Yeah, I did think this, but I'm struggling to stick up for him now, DG. I really am. I'd like to stick up for him. I think he's a great player. I think he's technically gifted. My problem is there's been a run of performances this season where he's had an absolute stinker.